it should be on. Oops. Yes. Is it on?
I'm refreshing our homepage right now. It says on my app
is it
that we
on?
started streaming.
I can hear myself. Okay, good.
So do we want to hop into a different voice channel?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, which one?
Conference? Alright, hello guys. Sorry for this intro of no intro here. I think we're live now.
Intro. I mean, my phone says we're live, so I'm going to hopefully believe that. Oh, there it is. Yes.
Okay,
and
hey.
It has the same thumbnail and whatnot, so we're good. We're good.
Alright.
We're good.
Let me just quickly cook things up here. So what we are going to talk about today is the state of Overwatch, because there were a lot of videos that were going on about how the game feels, how the players feel, and of course we have our own perspective on those things. So if you are interested, then stay with us and feel free to join in the discussion. We are going to keep an eye on the chat. And here I am, alienteavend, and here is my editor, the editor of the Dojo, our co-host, Taun.
Co-host. Yes, I am here.
Okay, then.
I am here.
So we prepared with a list of topics that we want to discuss. And let me just look that up. Topic list. Okay, and I think I am ready. Let's roll. Let's start with the first one. So, any of you guys watching the stream have watched Seagull's video? Or the one they did with Jake and XQC and...
It was Jane, Surefour,
yeah.
and Seagull. XQC just popped up at the end because he woke up all of a sudden and decided to pop in and just say, yeah, I agree with everything.
Yeah.
So it wasn't much XQC talk in there.
All right.
So
what do you guys think about it? Because we are going to start discussing the topics, but we want to get an idea about how do you feel about the topics they were discussing.
Because it was interesting.
Interesting, yes. There were a lot of stuff they talked about. So, state of the game. Let's start with that. I think that was one of the biggest topics.
Yeah, it was one of the bigger points to go through with it, and they're basically how Seagull's point of view is from it. And we got to remember, Seagull is a former pro Overwatch League player from Dallas Fuel, and then he retired from it and went straight on to just doing nothing but streams. And he's very high skill. He's in the top 500 every so often. He's in GM. He's all over the place. And so it's that the fact that his opinion, the way it is, kind of skews it a bit just for his kind of demographic is kind of what it is. But I do understand his point of view where he has a sense of helplessness in a lot of the situations. But also we got to remember that Seagull's also a DPS player. Granted, he did play off tank for the Dallas Fuel, but that was only for a short while. But he's mainly a DPS player. And a lot of the frustrations, I feel like, is because he can't do his DPS lifestyle. So I see points of view where he can understand stuff and how he can feel frustrated with the game, and how a lot of content creators or pros or streamers can feel frustrated with the game. But I don't think his point of view is equal to everybody else's. That's like saying the top 1% of the world, their problems are our problems.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Well, the game is really different on different levels. And so I just rigged up some kind of stream graphic here, not to watch the Discord.
I just keep sitting there looking at the Discord.
Voice break. Okay, let me fix that quickly. Always some kind of issue with that.
Every day. And so and then when the whole trio discussion happened, that one was a bit more interesting, because with Seagull's video, it was basically just all criticisms and all complaints, not any soft solutions. Whereas with the Jane, Surefour, and Seagull discussion, Surefour would come up with soft solutions for Seagull's issues, which were most of them were interesting. I thought they were pretty nice. Some of them I agreed with, some of them I didn't. But I'm glad that there was at least some thinking going on, other than just pointing fingers at what was wrong and what needs to be fixed, and not saying, well, you figure it out. And so, which I found it interesting that Seagull said that Jeff would rather have that kind of feedback. and whatnot. We're gonna get to those, Maggie. We're gonna get into the point of where we think the fixes should be, what our suggestions are.
Yeah, I mean, because there are a lot of issues that they talked about, and of course, you can't really have one single solution. So this is, as they were talking about it, this is going to be something that the community needs to work on together. There's no single good solution, and as the game is really hard and complex, so we just need to find something that works for all of us, basically.
Essentially. So that's the biggest thing, is where it's not only, because I don't know how many of you watch Hammy. I'm gonna call him Hammy. He's a guy who does a lot of lore stuff for Overwatch every once in a while. He did a video about the state, because all the content creators of Overwatch have started doing those just to respond to Siegel's stuff. And his point of view that I saw was rather interesting. The reason why the game is so kind of feeling stale or unfulfilling is not only the fact that there's a lot of issues game design wise and other things like that, but also that the community and Blizzard, the relationship is tense right now. That, we are being, how do you say, ultra savage half the time, and we're beating Blizzard up, saying that we're not wanting this. We're basically throwing a little hissy fit like a 2-year-old, telling our parents what we do and do not want. And then when our parents give us what we asked for and we play with it, we find out it's not what we wanted, and then we throw another hissy fit. So, I see where we have this issue of like trusting the developers and whatnot, but also the developers trusting the community and the community understanding what they need, which, it's a toss up. But I like that point of view where we have to work with Blizzard at the same time.
Yeah, that's a tough one, because you want to balance a game that's for a lot of different players. And when you have to make certain decisions, you have to think about the professional scene, who has a lot of time to try different things. And if there is an easy way out, they will just abuse the hell out of it, because that's how you win. And there are big monies there, so you just want to win. And this is why it sometimes gets really hard, because you also want to balance the game for bronze players, for example, who doesn't really know how to shoot or do any big shenanigans, and that's just hard.
It is just difficult. And again, as I said, because Siegel and a lot of people, like the high level streamers and all the pro players, are having this issues with GOAT, saying it's the new bad thing or whatnot. I actually did comp about 2 days ago and was playing in a high gold, low plat environment, and we only tried to do GOATs once and it failed. And after that, it was just mainly 2-2-2. So I don't see the problem with GOATs as often in my comp games. And I'm watching Hammy's background videos that he has going on in his dealio, and I don't see to the whole issue. And so this is where we have to differentiate between the pro level and everybody else. So yes, the GOATs and having Brig in the game and whatnot might have screwed up the high level gameplay, but it doesn't necessarily screw up ours. It makes it a little bit more annoying because we as people like to impersonate those that we admire. And so not only do we want to run the comps that they run, we also want to embody the attitude they have towards things. So if we have a lot of pro players and streamers or content creators saying Brig's terrible, Brig's just out, CC's out of, just wanting to do that, we miss the sight of the fact that there's other things in the game that could also be fixed. And so, Diva's kind of overpowered, but you don't hear a lot of discussion about that because, again, she's more of that skill-based hero. And that's what everybody wants. They all want skill-based heroes. Well, unfortunately, guys, not everybody's skill-based. You want to know why? Because I'm not skill-based. Heaven to Betsy knows that I cannot play Ana or Zenyatta because that requires daggum aim. That's why I had to play Mercy and Lucio, because with those two, you don't have to have as much aim. When Brigitte came into the game, that was a whole new version. It's a demo hero that's, both tank and support. And I'm watching you guys go ham crazy in there. And so, but, Brig was brought in as a different kind of like hybrid hero. She was kind of, meant to help break up the dive meta a little bit, but unfortunately that's not what happened. So that's, oh my Lord, you're all just going ham crazy, aren't you? Calm down. Calm down.
Chat going wild.
I know you say Brig is great and they just go, they're just mad. So, but that's the thing. You can't just make the game for the top 1%, because then you're not going to sell any games. Like, this is also a marketing standpoint. And so, and another thing that Hammy mentioned is that with Overwatch, if Overwatch was a failing game or a dying game, would big companies be investing into Overwatch like Lego, Hasbro, Toyota, Omen, HP, Intel? All the big companies here are investing into Overwatch. So there's obviously a good future that are seen by these big corporations.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something that not a lot of people think of. They just want the here and the now. And what they want is wins. And you know what, guys? It's a 50-50 shot when you go in half the time anyways. And so if you go into the mindset already mad that there's a character in there, you're already tilted, you're already upset. And as soon as you see that Brigitte, or if you see a freaking Rhine and a Zarya with a little bit of another tank, you're already going mad. So you're already going into the game with a state of mind to be mad, and already in a state of mind where the game sucks.
Yeah, kinda. That's really true.
In a sense.
Yeah, well, so it's hard, and there was the dive meta for 1.5 years, and they wanted to change that, and they changed that with Brig. And Brig is actually somebody who is easy to play, and on the lower levels, it's really important to give them something that's easy to play, because it can get annoying to play against tracers all the time as a support and just get rolled over and over again for 1.5 years. And then Brig came, and Brig is not a hard hero, so there is no skill shots. Basically, you have to land the shift, but that's basically it. You have to know the ranges, but not too much to it. Whereas, for example, with Ashe, if you want to compare her to a new hero, you have that mechanical skilling that you need to reach in order to be good with that hero. But Brig is easy, and Brig makes it hard to pressure the enemies too hard. And it makes it stopped dive, and it opened up new ways to play the game. And this is just how it is with competitive games. They want to keep up the fire in the game, and they need to change things in order to do that. They can't just stick to the same meta. Even if it feels good for a while, people are going to get bored, and because there are viewers, as you were talking about it, this is a spectator sport now. And of course there are a lot of players they need to think about, but they also need to think about how the game is going to look. And if we are playing dive for a year, and then at the next World Cup or for the next big events we are still playing dive, that's not good.
Yeah, no, it's just, it gets stale after a while. I get that dive has its place and whatnot, but I mean it eliminates some of the fun factor for some teams, I feel like, because you just can't work well against it half the time, especially at the higher scenes, because that's all they ran the first season of Overwatch League until Brig was introduced. And that's when in stage 4 some teams are able to turn around a little bit, like Dallas Fuel, because they were able to shut down some of the dive attempts. So I like that, because Overwatch is meant to be a shakeup. Like, you're supposed to be able to jazz up your lineup at the drop of a hat. That's what it was built to do, I felt like, when it was announced.
Yeah.
So it's, if you stick with one certain set of team forever, then that defeats the purpose of Overwatch.
That's true. Overwatch is more like a MOBA than a old-time FPS game. You just need to be good at knowing the game, because you can just hop into Counter-Strike and get headshots, and that's it, basically. Of course, you have to know the economy, you have to know when you want to buy this and that, and how to use spots and stuff like that. But with MOBA games, you need to know a lot about the game. And that's why a lot of players don't play these kind of games, because the amount of knowledge that you have to acquire in order to be good with the game is immense. And it's non-comparable to traditional FPS games, where you just hop in, get to know the map, get to know the mechanics, and then you can just roll and have fun.
That's why Overwatch is so different, is because of that MOBA aspect that you speak to. That's why it's so different from Battle Royale. And that's why Battle Royale is so popular right now, is because you don't have to depend on a team. You don't have to think as much.
Yeah.
Granted, you still have to have some mechanical skill if you're going to get, that win for the Battle Royale, or get that chicken dinner, or whatever, whichever version you're playing of this Battle Royale at this point in time. But that's the big difference. It is a big thinker game. You do have to plan stuff out. You have to work together. You have to be of one mind, and you do have to work with people you don't like. It's almost like real life almost half the time when you think really, really deep on this. But I mean, that is the big difference with Overwatch, is that it has a MOBA aspect to it, and not a lot of people play MOBAs.
Hmm. Yeah. So let's get to the next topic, is fun factor in a team setting. And we began with this, with comparing it to a battle royale, which is, I think, currently they are popular because you don't need to rely on anybody. And this is why I loved playing StarCraft 2 when I had the time to do that as well, because you were the only one against another one, and that's a pure skill matchup. You don't have to rely on certainty. And it was fun and it was good, but after a while you get, I mean, I don't know, it gets overwhelming a little bit because you are always alone. And of course you can train and do stuff like that, but I always loved team games more. I have been playing competitive games from the age of 13, starting with Call of Duty 1. I have been attending to different LAN parties and online competitions and stuff like that, played with a lot of people, and I always loved team setting the best from online experiences.
Yeah, no, I agree. A lot of the games that I played were usually single player RPGs or single player, like, just thinking strategy games. Those were the ones I liked, just trying to come up with a strategy. This is honestly the first major FPS I've really dug into and really gotten, in understanding, and also a MOBA based game. So this is why I have such a passion for it, because it was the first real FPS game I dove into and really dug in that had a team based atmosphere to it, and that's why I love it. That's why I hate it whenever people are just, beating people over the head for playing a hero that does help the team out, or is a hero that helps out certain players who don't have the certain level of skill that others do. So that's it's kind of my thing with it. I love Overwatch in the way that you can switch up stuff around and you can work together with a team, or you can pick it up with friends and whatnot and have fun with it. And so, but that's kind of been deleted because of all the hate people have towards one particular hero or even a group of heroes. And so it's just like, I don't know if that hurts the fun. I think that hurts the fun factor for a lot of people.
Yeah, I agree.
Because again, I don't have any skill, people. Half of you have played with me. You know I ain't got no skill. I can't hit those headshots unless I'm real lucky. So me being able to do something with the team, with a hero, is a rare occasion. And if I find one, I'm going to abuse it. And I'm going to love it because I'm actually doing crap. So, shrug.
Okay. But, yeah. So, back to the fun factor in the game. So, we have solo queue, and we can maybe have friends and group up with them for a duo or a trio. So, do you play solo queue?
I don't play solo queue as often as I used to. Again, a lot of this is life stuff, and I'm more of a casual when it comes to stuff. I've done a lot more duo and just grouping up to play because, again, I saw the game as finding people to play with. That's how I saw it to play.
Yeah.
When I did do solo queue, I didn't have a lot of fun. But then again, I suck mechanically.
So you are defaulting to group play when you have time to do that.
Correct, because that's where I thrive, because my skill, again, is low, but where I group up, I have people who fill in the spots where I don't really do well. Now, my brother, on the other hand, he's told me this. He has better experience in solo queue than he does in grouping up with people. And so this is kind of where you think of that state of mind where he doesn't have to depend that much on his team in his group, because, again, he has to worry about what his group's doing, which is kind of a weird aspect. But when he's solo queuing, he can work better at thinking for himself and thinking about what other people are doing and just assume what they're going to do. So it all matters on your kind of thought process and that dealio. But I haven't done solo queue for quite some time. So I can't speak too much on it. But from what I've, heard from other people and whatnot, I get that it kind of sucks because it's a team-based game, but you're going in as individuals and nobody really wants, I don't know.
Yeah,
it can be.
It's hard. It's hard because you have to deal with 5 other people. You have to work together with them, and if they make a mistake, then there is somebody to blame. It's always been like that with Overwatch and with any other games. I'm not sure what's going on with the voice crack. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's just your mic. Just blame your mic. That's what I do.
My settings are bad, maybe. So yeah, how do you guys in the chat feel about solo queue right now? Because I have
Well-
been hearing from a lot of you that you don't really get to play solo queue as much compared to like playing LFG or arcade or quick play or anything else, but you are mainly avoiding solo queue. Is that true? That's a question for the chat. But yeah, I get the idea. I only have a little time to play myself. I usually just default to play solo queue because that's what I can do easily.
Yeah.
But
And it's coin toss on a good time or a bad time. I feel like that's what you would do anyways, Woke. It's anytime you go into a competition, it's a 50-50 shot if you're going to win. But then if you look at the stats and you see how much more skilled the other team is, then that's when percentages fluctuate or whether or not you should be concerned. And I get that. I get that. I see that Madge says it's the worst thing ever. He's not happy about it. So, but I don't know what his elo is.
Yeah, but the other thing that you can do is, which is popularized right now by a lot of YouTubers and streamers, is to get into a team to get to play pugs, because that's a really different environment. You're not against random. You're not with random. In a sense that they want to play. They are spending their time in a community which wants to play, which wants to improve, which wants to have fun, and you don't really get that from the game right now. So these bugs, pickup games, or joining a team, which is what we are doing guides for in the last few weeks, is a good alternative, and I really recommend it to anyone, because it's how the game should be played in a team setting.
So yeah, Sunny Wolf here. As a primary solo queue, I find the game as good as it ever was. I don't see the decline that many players see in the solo queue environment. That's interesting. And again, this is all like opinion and all like based off. What do you main, Sunny? Like I can't remember if you. I'm gonna have to go into the Discord now because I know you're there. I know you live somewhere around there. Oh Lord, we have too many people in this Discord. I can't find you, Sunny.
There are others. Yeah. Hello, Ego Fire. No Blood, No Soul. Solo queue I avoid since I may not get what I want to play. And yeah, that's another thing, that in a team environment, you usually pick what you want and stick to it. And so you have your set role, and which you can practice.
That makes sense.
Sunny Wolf is playing hit scans.
Yeah, so I mean, I could see that. You're probably the jerk that's the widow that keeps headshotting me out of spawn, you savage. But anyways, besides that,
yeah, so back to the topic. I personally really recommend that you try joining a team, or try joining the dojos, fight club, or maybe pugs if we have them, if there's an activity. But there are, as I mentioned, there are a lot of YouTube channels, there are a lot of Discords who do this, and you can just join and try yourself, and you are going to see that it's really different, and the experience that you get there is non-comparable to the solo queue experience. If you lost fun in the game, this can get it back to you.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of it is that just solo queue into a team environment does suck, because especially its queuing system right now, they don't do a lot of fixes in the back where they don't match up people to fill, where they don't have like 5 mains that are heals, 5 main healers. That's kind of that's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so there's talking in the chat about guilds and the guilds feature.
I mean, will that fix anything though?
I'm not sure. When I started playing online again at the age of 13 or 14, I can't really remember, we didn't have anything like this. We didn't have clients. All we had was the game, and the game, I mean, you joined the server, you had your chat there and the disconnected, and there were no discords. There were voice servers, TeamSpeak and Ventrilo, which you could use, but we weren't served as well with tools, but we still could find our way to create teams and do different stuff together. And yeah, guilds can be a good addition, but we have discords. I mean, that's basically the same, but just not in the game, and you're not really spending too much social time in the game anyways, so I don't really see the difference.
I mean, I don't either, because there's even still the social feature in there where you can kind of do like a Discord type thing in the social tab of the Blizzard launcher. So I imagine you was just mentioning that as a possible feature coming up from Jeff, because apparently Jeff promised an announcement in December. I don't know why he did that to himself. And there's another thing that I feel bad for Blizzard about, is making those kind of comments saying that they're going to announce stuff, and then we don't get the announcement, and then we all get tilted. I feel bad for Jeff, just a little bit.
Let's get back to the guild a bit later, because we are going to talk about social features in a sec. But let's get back to the criticism that we got from the recent videos about hard counters and CC in the game. So what do you think about
that? If I can counter anybody, I'm a really happy man. But if I get countered, I'm pissed. So I mean, it's a 50-50 drop. I get the whole hard counters thing, and I understand why a lot of people hate them. Like Brig's the biggest example at the moment for the whole hard counter thing, because she does hard counter Tracer, several dive heroes, and whatnot. And
just even a sec. Before we get into that, let's define these counters, because it might not be plain what it means for everyone.
Okay, go ahead and define what hard counters and CC is for us.
Basically, a hard counter, when we are talking about hard counters in Overwatch, this is a no-brainer thing, that you see a hero, you go and pick another hero who is going to wreck the other one most of the time without too much hustle. That's what is basically defined as hard counter. So, for example, Brig versus Tracer. When Brig is there, by the sheer presence, she is countering Tracer, because Tracer can't go close, can't do her job effectively. So basically, if you are not switching from Tracer, then you are throwing the game. And this is what a hard counter is. Compared to, for example, Tracer versus McCree, which can seem to be as a hard counter on lower levels when your mechanics are not that good, because it is easier to flash and headshot than to avoid being flashed and headshotted by Tracer and to kill the McCree in 2 clips, because that's, or 2 or 3 clips, because that's what you need to do. So by picking McCree, you are not denying Tracer's presence from the game, and this is what we call a soft counter. Or McCree against Pharah, because Pharah can still play the game even if there's a McCree there. Sometimes you need 2 or 3 hit scans, 2 hit scans and the Zenyatta to deal with the Pharah if the Pharah is good. So CC is crowd control, so when you get stunned, hooked, or pinned or anything like that, that is CC. And the ranting was going on about this, so I let you continue your talk here.
Okay, I just want to address this one comment from Eagle Fire here. 350 hour Tracer, Diamond Tracer main here, but I get absolutely destroyed by a gold ranked Brig. Ridiculous. The skill of Tracer should not be shut down by no skill. I'd like to counter you there. Okay, I tried to play as Zenyatta once, and then a Tracer came and ruined my life. Okay, so in order to save my own butt and keep my team alive, I had to go Brig to cancel out the Tracer so my backline would be safe. Granted, it is a no-skill environment, but this is where I know wasn't Blizzard's intention, but giving those of us who suck at aim and suck at game sense a chance to at least predict stuff. Because I've gone against Tracers in my own elo and higher elos who've been able to take me out. Like, I don't even know how they did it, but they were able to take me out, baiting out the bash or whatever. But it is a way that it can happen, but it does increase the whole hard counter thing. I don't like the hard counter lifestyle. I don't like it. I mean, I don't know. I enjoy it, but I don't like it when it comes towards me. You know, I like it when I can do it, but when other people do it, I hate it. So I think if we make it more of a soft counter hero, like one of the things that Sure4 was mentioning in the dealio is that if we gave Brig like a 0.3 second charge up before she bashed, that would be almost like a skill soft counter. So basically, Tracer would be able to see Brig charging up to get to the bash instead of just instantly going forward. So this would add into like some mechanical or skill play if you would like.
Yeah, and I believe that that's the main point here, that you shouldn't look for deleting anything from the game, because the game is interesting and the game is diverse, because we have so many heroes and so many abilities. But when you start thinking about deleting things and working them, I mean, making them obsolete and too weak, That's not a good direction. Helping the game
Yeah.
to get to a state when everybody feels right with it without having these hard counters could be the ideal situation, because there is going to be always there is going to be a need to change in this game, because that's how it is. This is why it is interesting, because this is not a MOBA in that sense that you pick one hero and then you play that for the full duration of the game. You have to rotate, and you have to be skilled with more than one hero in most cases. And I think that this is a really great aspect of Overwatch that we shouldn't try to delete from the game. But we should try to aim to balance the things to make it more fun to play. Because playing against the hard counter, even if you say that you get to enjoy when you are hard countering somebody, I personally don't really enjoy that, because it makes the game less fun. You just have to click a button and you don't really have to think about it. I like when I'm being challenged by the game.
I'm glad you do. I don't. So
You don't. Okay.
But I like Sonny's comment here, Sonny Wolf. The feeling of power. No one likes to feel weak, but everyone likes to feel strong.
Yeah,
that's
true.
essentially. And that's everybody. Like, we don't want to feel like we're obsolete. And so those of us who felt obsolete finally got this one hero, or, you know, have learned this other hero, you know, that is able to go in there and wreck people and at least stay alive. It's kind of nice. But I get the hard counter thing is ridiculous. And I do think if we add in more soft-ish, like skill-based counters to it, I think that'll help balance out the game, but yet keep those still there. Because Brig, like, something has to stop the Tracer. Like, before Brig came out, what was it? It was Anna's Sleep Dart or McCree's Flashbang, which weren't meta at the time for dive. So you would have to depend on your diva to come all the way back to solve that problem. So with Brigitte, you kind of have where you have a healer that can also heal close to your person, but also heal from a distance as well, which was nice. She could still play in a dive. And I think that's another problem, is that she's too versatile. But again, we're going too much into her. But hard counters and CC, there is a lot of crowd control. Like, each new hero that's come out has had either a soft crowd control or a hard crowd control.
Yeah, but
like,
is it bad? Is it really that bad? I mean, we have been talking about Overwatch, that it's not an FPS. It's not a traditional FPS. It's a MOBA. There are a lot of abilities there. What would happen if we had no CC in the game?
It would turn into a COD. It would turn to Call of Duty, basically.
Just a simple playing Call of Duty with abilities. And that would be it. Because there is CC in the game, you have to think about your actions. What are you going to do in Call of Duty? You pick, you shoot, and you die maybe, or get a kill. In Overwatch, you have to think about what the enemy team has, and it puts a depth in the game. You can't just run in. You have to think about what they bring to the table, and you have to do things against the enemy team, not to get stunned as you enter, not to get blocked by a mag wall. It makes the game a little bit slower, but it also makes it more tactical.
It does, and I think that's what a lot of the player base just doesn't understand, because a majority of the player base that's coming to play Overwatch is coming from either a COD or Battlefield or some other FPS background and not a MOBA background. And so they don't understand how that works. And I can see that. Yeah. I mean, I don't mind the crowd control, but when every single hero has a crowd control ability, I can see the pain in that. Like, if you're like, I've gone against comps that have a Doomfist, Sombra, Brigitte, Roadhog, McCree, and then they have like a Mercy or Lucio running around keeping them alive. And so it's annoying to go against a lot of CC. I understand that. I think too much CC is a bad thing. Like, too much of a good thing is too much of a good thing. And so I think, I don't even know how you would balance that out, though, other than just don't make a lot of CC abilities now with the next few heroes. I mean, we have a lot of CC heroes now, so I think they can back off a little bit and go more into a mechanically skilled FPS, because they said in their interview, I was watching some streams from Emong where he was talking with Jeff Kaplan, and apparently the upcoming heroes are going to be a lot more different. And they went and talked to the people who made Call of Duty Black Ops and whatnot, since they're in their umbrella company of Activision, and they learned how to make weapons feel good and whatnot. And that's Ash is the product of that meeting that they had with Activision.
That's really interesting.
So that's why Ash's gun feels so cool and feels so nice and is stupidly OP with the dynamite, which is another CC if you want to think about it.
Kinda, yeah.
So
it's a tool to pressure the enemies and to deny zones as well if you are using for that. There are some interesting comments here in the chat. If there was a timer that would allow for stun locking to not be a thing, then it might lighten the burden of some of the CC. Yes, that's actually something that could work. That's a really good one. Because there are a lot of comms which just put you in a stun lock and then you're dead. You can't do anything. And this was one of the main issue when they were talking about, or Seagull was talking about CC in the video, that you can't really do anything against it and against hard counters. And if you could find something that makes it easier to live with them, I think then we are in a good spot.
And that's essentially what it is. And it's either got to be on the developer side or it has to be with us as a community. Because, you know, in the beginning, guys, who was OPAF? Bastion. But then what did we learn in the first 5 seconds of the game? Genji can go deflect the Bastion.
Yep.
And so Bastion no longer is played. He was my main for the first week of Overwatch. And then the community killed him. So thank you. Thank you, everybody. But, you know, it can come down to the community learning stuff. Or, you know, Blizzard seeing that the community is slow to picking up on how things works. But it's a toss-up with the whole CC situation. I agree that there should be probably less in the upcoming heroes and not as much stun, because that once you throw all the stun heroes into one group, it's annoying as heck. So being unable to play the game is frustrating. I get that. I have it happen to me. But it's interesting.
I think we are heading to the good direction, because we are nerfing Sombra, we are nerfing Doomfist, so that might ease the pain a little bit.
And Brigida's been nerfed about 8 times in a row.
That's right.
So
I think it's the 9th.
Is she on her 9th? See, guys, we're getting there. And she's been basically turned into a pretty powerful AoE healer now, that if you look at the stats, but she's not a heavy damage dealer. I didn't know her shield bash did 50 damage. I did not know that until the patch went through. So one thing I saw here from a comment was a no mobile hero. What the frick is that?
No mobile, like, I know, like Zen.
Is it a no mobile hero?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
If you could clarify which comment
I don't know.
was
I'm trying to find the comment.
Walter White asked that, but there's another by Eagle Fire Gaming that there's too many times where you are going down a hole or something and Brig is in third person around the corner and then bam, you're dead. Well, that happens to you 1 time, then 2 times, then 5 times, and then you are going to learn to check that spot before you go in and maybe use a wider angle, which makes it harder for the Brig to do that to you.
And to be honest, Brig's not the only one who can go to third person. A lot of the pros use their city modes to go into third person, so it's not just exclusively to Brig, it's just that she's primed and ready to bash. Yeah. Reinhardt can also do this too with his shield. It's just a lot harder to hide it. So
the important thing here is to learn from these mistakes. These are not game-breaking things. Yes, when you meet them for the first time, it can be annoying. When you meet them for the 3rd time, then you might start feeling bad about it. But if you just stop for a second and see if you could do anything differently to avoid that, you can learn from that. That's guaranteed. Okay, let's continue with our discussion, because we shouldn't go into too much depth here. We don't have all the time of the world. Scoreboards and stats. That's the next one.
Yeah, that was one thing Seagull was getting on about, and I'm like, I don't see how this fixes the gum. Like, if anything, this is just going to help either make it more toxic, or it's just going to keep the toxicity at the same level. Because you have some stats in Overwatch when you press tab for yourself, and you can know if you have the gold medals or not, which is a problem we have right now.
Can you call up the argument that they had there
about the stats?
Yeah, just to clarify the topic.
They were just basically talking about having the stats that the Overwatch League has and have it as like a live scoreboard that you could either press tab or another button for, basically giving you all these individual stats. And Seagull was going into some crazy like individual stats, like saying, well, your damage into shields was this, whereas my damage to actual people was this. So that means I'm doing more damage to people than you are because you're just shooting a shield. And I'm like, I wouldn't even sit like No, there's no way that stats that in depth during the game helps out anybody. But that's what Siegel was wanting. He was wanting the stats that the Overwatch League casters have during the game, like all the information that they have and whatnot.
I'm trying to look at some stat boards here. We all know what we have right now, and these are not too many. These are actually old screenshots for whatever reason, but we have the basic stats, and we are the only ones who can see it. And you can maybe figure out what is going on just from your medals, but would detailed stats give enough information or too much information for the players?
It would give the right information again to the top 1%, the top 500 or the pro players. It would work really well for them. But to me, you give me all those stats, I'm just going to find the one stat that pertains to me or makes me look good and say that's the one I'm holding on to because that's what I'm good at. So if anybody gets toxic at me, I'll throw that stat in their face and say I'm doing this while yours is at that. Or I'll just find a stat where just, my stat's better than your stat. And that's what it becomes. And so I don't think doing that for our ELO or for, just Overwatch in general helps anybody. Post stats like what we have in the game already, where you can go to your individual heroes and see how well you did. I think that's more than enough. But doing a scoreboard live during the match will either help promote more toxicity whenever we're losing, or it will just keep it at the same. It's not going to fix anything. Like, I don't see it working.
Yeah, even if you get detailed stats, and this is how I think about it as a coach who has a lot of experience, that you are, as an average player, not going to be able to tell just from the raw stats what went wrong and what went well in that game. It might be easier for you to tell what went well in the game, but you might be able to do that from your perspective because you know that, for example, you are a healer and then you need to have a high amount of healing, but how high is high compared to different maps, compared on different times, different runs, different sides, different heroes? How can you, you have to know a lot of things about this game. As I already mentioned, a lot of things goes into the Overwatch. I started to create a skill tree for Overwatch and it has 250 leaves and it's not finished yet. You have to learn a lot of things about this game. And if you would add stats to this, and I, as a newbie player, would have to figure out how much healing do I need to do to feel good about myself on different maps, on different sides, with different heroes, that is overwhelming. And I believe that players shouldn't be overwhelmed like this.
I agree. Not at all. I don't think so. Sunny makes an interesting point here, and I think this is what Siegel was getting at. I think the scoreboard is to fix the perceived problem of lack of control over your teammates. And so Siegel was saying that if he used the stats, he could tell his teammates what they're doing wrong. But as we mentioned,
you start blaming, and it won't fix anything.
So I don't know where Siegel's head was when he was thinking this plan through. I don't know his time. I'm going with anything, but that just doesn't make much sense. And then there's a comment here. I just wanted to think about this. What do you guys think about this idea? A cooldown ability that allows Ryan's shield to wrap all the way around him, like, say, on a 12-second cooldown. You know what that sounds like to me? Sounds like a Zarya bubble. But if you're wanting it to encompass the whole team, I could see that as being interesting.
That's Winston Bubble, then.
Oh, that's right. It's Winston Bubble. This is why he's the content creator, and I just edit the thingies.
A moving shield thingy. I don't think it fixes things. If you are going dive, then you need the mobility, and then you can't really, and that would be too OP to carry your shield around.
I feel like that shield would just be something to help, like, stop a Pharah.
Yeah,
that's about it. Pharah and other AoE abilities.
If you are good with Monkey, you can allow your teammates to dance around your shield if the timing is right, and you are not only using it for yourself. It can work against different comps, but it's not. Again, we are talking about the 1% here. Yeah,
this is still just a barrier. So I don't know. It's an interesting idea. Maybe it'll come in Hero 30. Oh snap.
Okay, so I think we agree on scoreboards here that they can give value to the 1% because they know how to read them. But for everybody else, they would have to learn to interpret these things, and it puts an immense plus information in the head of the player just to be able to tell where he is. And I don't think that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, chat is going wild with the ideas here. I really like that.
Yeah, they're really getting into this whole Ryan having an umbrella like Mary Poppins. So, you know, that's cool. I mean, I think stats would be nice, but I don't think it needs to be during the game. It can be after the game. That's my thought on it.
Yeah, that could be a thing, because then you have time to process what was going on. And maybe with a good replay system and a good stat system, we would have good tools to understand what is going on. Basically, that's why we started OmniCoach, because it helps in understanding these kind of stuffs.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. I like it.
Okay, next topic is metas, goats, dive, that comp, or that ball.
Yeah, so the reason why I put this one in here is because Siegel asked the question of what was healthier for the game, the goats meta, or was the dive meta better? And so this is where you really think and you go like, well, this is really opinion based. And I watched Hammy's video, and he was more like, you know, this is what Overwatch is. The meta fluctuates, it changes. Your hero will be, you know, prominent for a season or two, and then the next one it could go away. That's just the way of Overwatch, and that's what we have to accept and understand. And so, like during the dive meta, my year and a half of Torment, I sucked. And, you know, the chances I get to play goats or the chances I can stop a dive meta, I mean, I like it. It gives, again, as Sonny was mentioning, gives you power. And so I enjoy the goats meta better because in the goats meta, I've been able to flex my heal radius because typically I would only play Mercy because that's who you had to play for the dive meta because I couldn't do Zenyatta at all. And if I did, I just get shut down. So in the goats, I've actually been able to play Zenyatta and be able to actually practice with him in a real game and not just get instantly deleted by the Winston and the Tracer. So
it makes it easier for you to find your spot, basically, if I get that right.
Yeah, no, that's essentially it.
Yeah, because that's what goats is about. It's an easy comp. It abuses the current meta. It abuses the strengths of the supports and tanks combined. You don't need a DPS in there. What the heck? I mean, yeah, what the heck?
Yeah, no, I get that. And again, as I suck at skill, so I don't play a lot of damage unless it's Junkrat. So that tells you a lot about my aim. And so I would usually play tanks or supports. And this Goats meta supports both those hero categories that I play. And I think as we discussed earlier, the majority of the community is DPS based. And so obviously that's going to piss off people. You know, you got Siegel who's making this complaint because he doesn't like goats. Probably because he's a DPS player and can't do his hero pool that he likes playing, which I find that odd because I feel like Hanzo's OP.
I don't think that's a valid one because he can just play anything basically.
Okay, that's true. Top percent should be able to flex really hard, be able to do a lot there.
Yeah, it's interesting. I get the idea that it's easy because metas can be sometimes hard to play. Usually they are not. Usually they are straightforward. But a dive meta, for example, needs communication from the team. It needs coordination. The goats, what does it need? It needs a speed boost and Ws.
I mean, sometimes if you go with that goats, which you can have a variation of goats, as we saw in the World Cup, that there's different dealios. Like South Korea had freaking Jonak because you can't go anywhere with Jonak unless he plays Zenyatta because he doesn't know any other hero because he's stupid OP. But anyways, so I mean, with goats you can still flex around, but the main one, as you said, is like Ryan, Zarya, Diva, Moira, Brig, and Lucio because you have that speed boost and you can go in and you can tumble it out. And so that's where sometimes with the counter goats, that's where Sombra and Doomfist have come in real powerful. And so they're able to help counter that kind of a goats problem. So it's changed it to where some heroes that weren't very powerful during the last meta are now coming into fruition, and it's making it more of a CC meta than it was where it was previously a mechanical kind of meta in a sense,
Mhm.
where it was more mechanical skill and ability control. Where I think abilities are still evenly needed in both, but you know, it's Dandy, calm down. Seagull does play Diva, but not as much anymore, I feel like. And plus, Diva's again another broken hero, and that's another discussion for another day. But moving on.
Okay, yeah. So I believe that on different level it plays out differently. On a lower level, you want to have your helpers, blah, blah. So basically, things that could give you an idea about how you should play the game. Because as you get higher on the ladder, you are going to learn more about the game, and then you are going to be able to tell this comp from that comp. Until a certain level, you are just picking what you want. You might have an idea that you should go 2-2 or something that resembles a 2-2 that has tankiness and support and damage in the same time, but it is easier. I can imagine that it is easier on the lower levels, and I know that it is easier because I coach people mostly in gold and plat, that they are having better times with the goats because they can just flex. As you said, they can just flex into roles of their so for example, pick different supports or tanks that they want to play, but they can also try different things because it is safe to go goats, because you can just do that. You know how to do that. It is easy. You just go to Reddit, you watch or read a guide, and then that's it. What do I need to pick? It's 6 heroes, or EU goods and NA goods. That's it. So yeah, but it can be boring on the higher levels if you are always stuck with the same comp and doing again the same thing again and again.
I mean, that's what you were doing anyways with the dive meta. You're doing the same thing again and again.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I feel at the professional level, and Jane's one of the coaches for the Dallas Fuel, and he says, as from a coaching standpoint, I don't care about game balance. I don't care what's fair. I don't really care what's going on in the game for players outside of mine. My goal is to win games.
That's right.
And if what's winning games is goats, then by Jove, we're going goats. So that's what you have to live with when you do that. But for us down here, you don't have to play goats. You can play whatever. As I said, in the groupings I was doing, we only played goats once, and we sucked at it, which is odd because you usually think goats would do pretty well. But it was Eichenwald attack, and I don't know. Things went south. But anyways, I won't stop you, Phantom. If you want to ask us questions about Diva, I mean, I guess Alien and I can answer them. I'm just the editor. I'm just, just sitting here doing my thing.
So we have a lot of topics. Let's not talk about Diva now.
Not now. Maybe if we have time.
Okay, let's continue with the next one. Ultimates. Okay. So the discussion was going about, are ultimates OP? Are they creating a situation or situations in the game which make the game boring? I think something like that was the argument.
Well, essentially is what it was. Is Seagull's point of view, if I remember this correctly, the way he was talking in his video was that it was another one where it wasn't his whole thing is like mechanical skills like gone from the game, which I call BS on because I keep getting headshotted by Hanzos and Widows from across the map. But he was basically talking about how at the end of the day in snowballing, it becomes a queue game where whoever has the most ultimates wins the game because they're so that much powerful. And he was talking about how if you don't have a support ultimate, it's a team wipe. And it's like, well, duh. That's how they're supposed to save your butts.
Yeah, I mean,
that's why you have ultimates.
He was talking a lot about solo queue, and then this is a team aspect. And yeah, I get the idea that people are not working together that much. But yeah, if you don't pick a certain hero, then you are not going to have that resource.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I understand. And also another point for solo queue is that even though your team has all the queues, you don't coordinate the queues. So that makes sense. Whereas in the solo queue, like somebody on your team is a Hanzo and you're playing Zarya and you're like, okay, let's get this Graviton going. Or, you launch the Graviton and the Hanzo doesn't launch his ult or doesn't have his ult because he launched it too early or something, then that's, like a combo missed. So I feel like it's more about the combo potential in a solo queue environment that's gone than compared to, the ultimates themselves being too OP. I mean, there are some in there that are crazy, but I haven't played a lot of MOBA, so I don't know how these ultimates in Overwatch compare to other MOBA ultimates. So
there's one question by Dandy that aren't ults meant to be OP? Yes, they are. They had problems with it because they are charging too quickly, and ults and the ult economy, if you do that perfectly, sometimes can help you winning the games in more than 50%. So for example, the example they mentioned that on control maps, if you get the first team fight, you are going to win the whole segment, the whole map in 60% of the time, which is too much.
yeah.
So ults are meant to be OP. They are meant to be skills copied from the MOBA games. Usually in MOBAs, though, they are charging more slowly. Like they have 2 or 3 minutes of cooldown, and they have a fixed cooldown.
Yeah, because that was one thing they were talking about in the big podcast they were doing, is that maybe if ultimates had a timer cooldown, then you would know for sure when their ultimates would come up. But then that's, I don't know, they wanted the ult, like Overwatch, like the team wants the ults to be built up based off of skill and based off of, doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, which I mean, I think Seagull is just mad that people get Qs faster than him, maybe. JK, everybody. But I can see how some of the alts are OP, but then if you look at other ones where it's like, I don't think that Winston's ultimate is powerful. Like he's basically an ultimate sponge for the other team is what he becomes. And
based on the level. Let's just say
based on the level. And a lot of times in the Overwatch League, his ult is used to stall the point. Whoa, crack. So, Zenyatta's ult, yeah, it's OP. Like that just, no damage for anybody for a little bit. But then Lucio's, it's okay, but it's only good for a certain amount of time because of how long the shields last. So, but it's not worthy of, saying that it's terrible. Let's see. Sunny's saying something about summarizing his points on ults. They are so strong that they take away the ability to counterplay without ults. That is, they are OP. So since there's no counterplay to ults other than other ults, that makes them OP. I can understand that, but that's why you have to build up your ults.
Yeah, that's why you have to think about your ult economy. And that becomes more important as you progress on the ladder. As you get higher, the team is going to be able to combine their ults a lot more effectively. And then you need to start to think about how are the team fights going to be played. Are we burning this ult or that, or do we keeping them, or what are we doing? And this again becomes part of the game. So yeah, ults are sometimes charging too quickly. I get that, and it's mostly because they are performance based. So if we just compare it to a MOBA, they are flat. They have flat timers, and the only thing that you can call ult economy there is which ults you want to use, and then calculating when the enemy is going to have the next ult, which is harder in this game, and it is also, it gives you it makes it possible to snowball in a lot of situations, because if you are popping, or if the team helps you to eat the enemies, feeding the damage to you or feeding anything to you, then yeah, you can just snowball as a team, and that can be a problem on any level.
Yeah, so it's, I don't know. I don't see them as OP because every time an ultimate's used in my environment, it's either used to a good potential to help us win the team fight, or it gets counterplayed, or it gets burned. So it's like, again, this is probably another top 1% problem.
Yeah.
But I don't see it as being a problem. I can see like the chat's talking about how some DPS ultimates are garbo, but and then they're complaining about Tracer Stick Bomb, but that's besides the point. I mean, I think the ultimates are fine. I don't think they need to be fixed. I think they're at a good state right now.
Again, what we would get if we deleted the ults, let's just play with that idea.
Okay.
Go back to Call of Duty with abilities. I don't really want to see that.
Yeah, no, it ruins the fun of Overwatch where you can get your ultimate and feel good. I think it's just the fact that the game is around 3 years old now, and we just don't. We're kind of stale, tired of some of the ultimates, and we're so sick and tired of seeing them pop up every 5 seconds, like Hanzo's Dragon Strike. Just because he hits 5 headshots or 5 body shots, he instantly gets dragons. It's ridiculous. But I mean, you can change all the alt charges or passive charge or get rid of passive charge. You still need the ultimates in the game to make the game interesting, because that's what's flashy half the time. Because how often do you get psyched up whenever you get that nice grab and dragon strike, or where you get that grab and diva bomb? You just they help you feel good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Okay.
and that's my thing.
Yeah. Okay, so comments here from the chat. An ability she has, and again talking about Tracer and Reaper, I suppose. Ability she has every 5 or 6 seconds. Shuts down my pulse bomb finally charged up. No man,
What
thanks.
ability is that?
That can be a bubble from the Zarya, can be a Wraith. Can be a lot of things actually. But yeah, you just need to repair pack. Okay.
Oh, repair pack.
Yeah. Well, you just need to be good with the timing. I mean, you don't throw the bomb into a diva matrix, and that's basically the same thing. It's just not that visible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it saves Mayo, Reaper, or Doomfist. Yeah, but then you know about this, and then you shouldn't get baited. This is basically kind of the same as the previous one, that you should learn from the mistakes that you make.
But see, my thing is, as you say there, Eagle, they may be at 325 and that thing does 300 damage. You're telling me you can't shoot them down the next 25 hit points? So the reason why Tracer's bomb was nerfed so hard is because she would keep using it on blasted tanks, and the tanks would get shredded because, again, in the dive meta where this was popular, you would have Tracer go in, bomb the tank, usually Diva, get her out of mech, and then kill the baby Diva, and then you were able to win the team fight because you lose one of your most mobile tanks that is able to actually do freaking damage, unlike Winston, who has a tickle cannon. So it's just, yeah, depends on the situation. This is where skill comes in again. This is where, as Alien was saying, you got to think the plans through, my boys. And I know you Diamond, bro. I know you got this, fam. Don't fall out from that. That's right, tickle cannon.
Tickle cannon. That's how it's called. All right.
I don't think Junkrat's Tire does twice the damage of Pulse Bomb, though. Does it? But also, Junkrat's Tire can be shot down.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest difference between, like, Tracer, she can blink in and stick it on you, whereas Junkrat's Tire, I have to manually drive that stupid thing. Trust me, I've done a lot of rip tires in my life. And so it is strong against tanks, but you got to get it to the tanks. I can't tell you how many times I've had a Roadhog shoot it out of the sky, a Zarya freaking right-click it, a Reinhardt fire strike it, and then Diva using her stupid little rockets to knock it out of the flipping sky. And so it's a lot easier to counter than
Tracers.
Junkrat's Tire does. Yeah,
according to the wiki, it does 60 to 600 splash damage. So I would imagine that if it contacts the ground when it impacts, then it does 600 damage. But yeah, it can be countered, it can be heard, but also on the other hand, Tracers need to be landed, so you have to be good with your mechanics.
Yeah, no, and so, I mean, it's just a matter that, again, Junk was not meta at the point in time, too.
Yeah, and Tracer was heavily.
Yeah, so, and Tracer's bomb was highly annoying. Like, whenever I played Reinhardt and I was trying to protect my team, Tracer blink in behind me, drop the bomb, and then blink out. What is my team supposed to do? Like, they can't stop the Tracer. They can't do anything as she pulse bombs me. And then I get blown up because that's, all my health gone. And then, Diva and Winston, it's just, I get how Rat Tire is, again, another. This one, I feel like Junkrat Tire is it's a skill-based ultimate. I get that it has a huge radius, and I get that it does a bit more damage, but you have to do more to get it to its destination. And if you have to be smart with the tire, too. And you only have a certain amount of time with the tire to get it to its destination. So,
all right. Yeah, let's just continue with the discussions. Shouldn't go.
Yeah, this is a different kind of topic.
Oh. Okay. How to fix solo queue?
How to fix solo queue? That's a good question. I don't even know if there is a way. They didn't really talk much about it in the podcast, other than pugs or introducing a 6v6 competitive, which apparently, according to Siegel, that's originally what was going to be, was 6v6 competitive. You had to have a team in order to go in, but then the community at that point in time in the alpha and the beta cried out saying that they needed solo queue.
Yeah,
and so
I mean, that was the good decision there, but having, again, and this goes back to the start of this discussion, that do we really need these tools from the game? And it seems like yes. I mean, a lot of people say that, yeah, we need guilds and we need 6v6 I don't know, ladders, stuff like that. Other games can do it, and you can just team up and play with your team, but you can do that in a custom game, in scrims and on tourneys. So we have a system for that in place already. It's just not made by the game.
Yeah, so, and I mean, that's one of the things. One thing I heard from Hammy that I thought was really interesting, and either confirm or deny that this was wrong, but I know in Heroes of the Storm, according to what he was saying, is that before you can go into competitive, you have to have 16 heroes, and you have to have a certain number of heroes to level 5 before you can go in, and this helps with understanding heroes and how they work, and understanding also maybe some team stuff. And so obviously we don't earn heroes like you do in like another MOBA, but I feel like if players, outside of just having, you got to reach level 25. I get that. I like that. But if you're one tricking a certain hero all the way to level 25, you only learn that hero. Whereas if you were to make it to where you have to learn, 2 support, 2 tank, and 2 damage to a certain amount of hours, that might help the community understand how each role is played in a sense.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
I believe so, yeah. So if we compare level 25, which is needed to play ranked, compared to League of Legends level 30, which can be reached in 3 months of play instead of just 5 hours or 6 hours, that's a huge difference. And you don't get near ranked in League of Legends until you are 30, or at least I have not been playing League of Legends for several years now, but it was like this when I played it.
Yeah, so, and I mean, that's something that I feel like that might be helpful, because you just have so many people just going into competitive, because one thing that Blizzard themselves have said that they regret deeply is putting in the golden guns, because people want them golden guns. And so I feel like if that was never introduced, I don't think we'd be in the situation we are now, because a lot of the problems that we have is probably some players, because I know some people that play and they're playing for the comp points, that they just want the golden guns, because I know a lot of people in my elo, that's what they're playing for. But then again, those people are now in gold and bronze and whatnot, so they can stay down there.
Yeah, people are greedy for the golden guns. That's right.
Yeah, and so I feel like if you had more of a time period where people actually learn the heroes and learn how the game works, then maybe comp would be better. But I don't know. I think that's the only thing that you can really do to change it.
It's hard because when you play quick play, you can't really trust that it's going to be a quality game, and it can be annoying.
Oh no,
it can be annoying really quickly. And if we could fix that with with a good matchmaking system, some kind of other points for quick play that you can collect, but still use a lot more time to get to know the game, to get to know the heroes, to learn more about the game before you can get into ranked. I think that would be beneficial.
I think so. And so I see you have here in a point of a personal experience of your own.
I mean, yeah, so people should be rewarded, because that's why we are gamers. We enjoy being rewarded. We have achievements, we have quests, we have rewards for different things that we are doing. We have points that we can identify with. We have points that we can spend virtually. These are a lot of good feelings, and this is just pure psychology. These are gifts that the game gives us, and we get back to the game because we get gifts. And if these gifts are good, then the players are going to feel that the game is good itself because they are getting rewarded, even if the game is bad. Sometimes this can be used as a cheap tool to make your game feel good. But nevertheless, I believe that rewarding is a great tool that could be used better. And let's just talk about the next thing here is onboarding and tutorials. So let me tell you a story of mine, a personal experience.
Ooh, story time.
Yeah, so I purchased Overwatch for my girlfriend. It was 3 months ago. And she started playing it. And she got lost in the tutorial. She never played anything before, only platformers in co-op. And the tutorial, and I just realized that the tutorial for this game is so horrible. It doesn't lead you. It doesn't help you to get to know the game. What does it teach you? It teaches you how to push WSAD. Then it makes you use your abilities, shoot some, press your ult once, and then there you go. You go into a game against bots, and you get wrecked. You don't even know what the hell is going on.
Yeah. No. Yeah, the tutorial is just a uber super basic tutorial that really doesn't cover like mechanics or like how the game's supposed to work. It's just literally, this is how you move, this is how you do little things here and there, and it's with Soldier of all characters. That isn't really meta anymore. And you know, it's like, I don't know if it was because they wanted to introduce players to a hero that looked similar or like maybe felt like a COD. I don't know, but it's, yeah, the tutorial is not real helpful. But then again, we wouldn't have a channel, Alien, if this thing was actually good. Just putting that out there.
That's true. Well, that's really true. But still, I think the onboarding process could be a lot better. I mean, this is what we have been working on for 2 long years now, creating tutorials for you guys. But the onboarding process could be a lot better, like giving you small quests, for example. I really believe that those could have a value that, all right, you should go in and play support just to experience supports. Because sometimes you hop into a game, you see that, okay, this is a big bulky guy, and I love being big bulky guys and going in the front line and not dying. This is something I heard, actually. I love playing tanks because I'm not dying that quickly. And I don't want to try that little guy who is whoring in the air because he dies so quickly. And he basically never tried supports because they looked weak.
Interesting.
So this is also happening. And yeah, the community is 3 years old, but we always have new players. And I believe that with good basics, if you go through the tutorial, if you come from a different game, this can still give you value if it is detailed enough. Maybe you could just select your level, that I'm a newbie or I'm a mobile veteran, and don't tell me everything, just the real important stuff that I need to know about, like meta and counter picks and ultimate economy and stuff like that. But this is never covered in the game. And I have been coaching, I don't know, 80 players in the last 2 years, and there were a lot of players who don't know different aspects of the game because they just miss them entirely. And this happens.
I think it's a lot because Blizzard just doesn't have it up and out front, because like you can press F1 and see everybody's abilities, and there's sometimes short little videos with everything and you see things there, or even if you go to their website you see stuff about each hero. But yeah, you're right, they don't really dive into how the game's supposed to be played or how like basics really work. So lots.
So how
we need help.
How I would do it is how I was doing the content for the channel, helping the people, stepping one by one, holding their hand, giving them gifts for their achievements, for their progress. So telling you that, hello, I'm seeing that you favor hit scans, so let's talk about hit scans. And the game could detect that you have more time with hit scans than anything else, and then it could start explaining you that, all right, hello, let's see, these are the styles that you can do for aiming. This is tracking, and this is how it should be done. This is flicking, and this is how it should be done. There's a difference between scoping aim and hipfire, and a lot of stuff like that. And being the game, you have a lot of information about your players, and you could just say things like that and give specific quests and tutorials for the players. And it would lead, I honestly believe that it would lead to a lot better player base. Because then if you are being in an environment where you are getting knowledge, not just getting it for you from YouTube and different sources, but the game feeds it to you and pays attention to help you in staying in the flow of the game, learning the stuff that you should learn, then it can create a better experience. That's what I believe, at least.
No, I agree with you. Get your player base educated, and that way your player base is more prepared for what they're going to get into, so you don't have as much problems with the new players, and it makes it more inviting as well. Because people like games that are easy to pick up on. That's why a lot of mobile games are real popular, where you just have to tap your finger or something to keep the birdie afly. Or, like battle royales are pretty straightforward and easy to go with. They like easy games. And so if you want your game to be popular, you got to make it easy and simplistic.
Yeah, that's right.
So that'd be my thing.
Okay, shall we continue?
Sure, why not?
Okay, next topic, roll queue.
Oh boy, that's the fun topic. Everybody thinks it'll save Overwatch. Roll queue.
Okay, the chat is talking about quick play with 2 tabs. One is try hard and the other is throw. The basic...
You do know both of those would be throw, right?
Yeah.
That would solve nothing.
But basically the idea is the same, that if you had a queue where you can indicate that you want to play this and that could make things easier. But then we have looking for group for a while now, and it's not really working. I mean, yeah, you can use that, but it's long waiting times, not a lot of players.
Yeah, so it's I don't see it working, and I'm seeing some people. I see a person here commenting saying about main tanks, but like even if you do the basic role queue that you see a lot of people talking about, where it's tank, DPS, and support, well, what the heck happens if you get 2 Reinhardt mains? You're in the same blasted problem.
Yeah, I think it was part of their discussion as well in the video, that you should then need more roles for the role queue, and also bans.
Bans was another one, but sticking with the role queue one before we hop onto bans. But the role queue one is then you have to have a main tank, an off tank, main DPS, flex DPS, main support, and then off support. But that's promoting a meta. That is forcing you to go with the 2-2-2. Okay, that's making you choose what you have to be.
Yeah.
So
then game creators are not really about telling you what to do. You have to figure out that for yourself. That's why we have flex in the LFG, but a role queue, creating a role queue that works well is really hard. And I don't believe it would save Overwatch. I mean,
I feel like it wouldn't really help anything at all. It would increase queue times, but there is a chance it would help your game, but it just doesn't fix anything, because you still have to be able to flex off. Like if you're playing, a main tank role, well, what happens if in this situation, crazy idea, guys, we need 2 off tanks? Well, if you're stuck with your main tank role, you can't switch off. So it's like, that's why Overwatch is so good. You can flex and you can change your composition to meet the other team's composition.
Yeah, and that's a problem with the hard role queue. There was a mentioning about this 2 versions of role queue, hard and soft. Basically with hard you can't reflex into anything else, and even if it goes bad, sometimes I pick DPS, then I suck because I have not been playing and decay to, I don't know, below, and then I just say that okay, I don't want to play DPS now. I would just pick an off tank, because then my mechanics are not that critical. And this can happen. And in a role queue, if you're logged into it because it's a hard one, then you're screwed basically, and the whole team is screwed because of that mistake. With a soft one, trolling is going to happen still.
Oh yeah, no, it would indubitably happen. And so that's why I don't know why everybody wants, I don't know why a lot of these content creators want it so bad. I don't know why they think this is going to help. It's not. It's just,
again, I think
blows
that
my mind.
if you are playing with a community who knows how to play a lot of different heroes and who can behave, then you can expect that they are going to behave well in a role queue. Otherwise, trolling can happen the same way. Yes, it might not force you into flexing support, but I mean, I find fun in that as well. I usually just play tanks. Sometimes I flex to DPS, and rarely I flex to support. But for example, a week ago, I had to flex into Mercy, and I realized that I don't know the newest tech that flies you up to the sky. And then I spent half an hour looking up for videos in YouTube to try to learn that, and it was fun. I can honestly say that I had fun learning Mercy, which I played for 5 minutes all my life. So these things can be fun and can be a different experience from the core experience that you usually get from competing in this game, and I think we should embrace that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Something similar to that, making something work.
Okay, so we can agree that role queue is not going to save anything, and we basically have that in LFG. And if you want role queue, I mean, just team up and get together with 5 other people and then play in a team, because that's the best way we have right now. Get a schedule, get together, play together, and you are going to be able to play the same hero again and again and improve.
Exactly. That's again what Overwatch was engineered for, was to make it into a team environment. And if you're really liking a certain section of heroes, you know, that's where you have to find the team aspect of it.
Yeah.
Jane said this when people were complaining about Brig, but if you were truly competitive, then why wouldn't you run Goats? Why wouldn't you run Brig? That's essentially the comment I was making earlier there, Jacob, is that's the coaching thing. You know, if you want to win, you got to play what's going to win. So do you want to win, or do you want to be for a movement and not win the game?
Yeah.
Choice is yours. But you were talking about bans, which is something that they were talking about. Is this common for MOBAs where you can ban a hero?
Yes, basically you have a lot more diverse hero pool there. So in LoL, I think it's I don't know, more than 100 easily. Yeah. And then you know that there is going to be a hard counter, that if someone brings that against you, then you are basically screwed. And bans are an important thing in these games to prevent OP heroes and heroes that you don't want to play against. Usually you are able to ban 3, but in Overwatch, as they mentioned it, I believe that they said that 1 would be enough. I don't know about that. That could be an interesting thing to try out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. You can ban certain heroes, but like I feel like that almost hurts other players too, because if you know, like for say, like if you're going up, like if New York XL and Shanghai were going against each other, and they know for sure Jonak's going to be in the lineup. Well, who the heck are you going to ban for? You're going to ban Zenyatta, so you don't have that BS. And so that changes the game a little bit, yes, but it also hurts the players too. So it's like I'm not psyched about that kind of thought process, because as you said, MOBAs have like hundreds of heroes, and we're nowhere near that right now.
Yeah. So what happens if you ban a main support? Like if you ban Ana, for example, what happens then? It gets crazy.
It gets crazy, and you almost force a certain meta on the other team because you can't. Yeah. You can't run a heavy.
There are not enough heroes to do that. Yeah, so MOBAs also have it so that you don't have the same hero on both sides. That's true, yes. And there are 5 bans in LoL. Yeah, well, that's different. We shouldn't compare it to MOBAs. It's yeah.
It's just that Overwatch has a MOBA personality attached to it, and so we have to think of some of the MOBA aspects that are in there, and that's why a lot of people are bringing in stuff from LoL and Dota and stuff, and saying that maybe this could be implemented. It's like, well, it could be if we did, you know, you have to maneuver it a little bit. That's why in the discussion that Surefour, Jane, and Siegel were having, they were talking about 1 ban per team. And so, I mean, granted, that would be interesting, but we just don't have enough heroes. And so it's just different.
Yeah.
It is different from a MOBA, and that's why it's so unique, and that's why it's so much fun, is that it's a MOBA, but yet not. It's an FPS, but yet not. So
it's more like Team Fortress 2, as Jacob says in the chat. That's really true, with abilities.
Except we have women here now. Okay, so just calm your boat.
Okay.
Calm your boat.
Okay, next one. Community code of conduct.
Yeah, this was something that Hammy was saying in his video, which I found really interesting. And this is more of where, instead of talking about my mechanical skill or talking about team compositions or, basically talking about how to be a better player in a sense. And so he was talking about some credos that Riot put out, like a kind of like a list saying how you should behave as a teammate or what your goal should be as a teammate in League of Legends. And so I thought that was really interesting because Blizzard, you really don't have much of that other than Jeff coming around telling you stop being toxic in his videos.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like if Blizzard or the community came up with a slight credo that was talking about how you should be as a teammate towards other people, and this would also help in judging who to report and whatnot, because we can obviously tell who to report if they're being like uber toxic and uber uncooperative and just basically throwing. But like, what happens if there's a situation where you need to understand how a teammate works? Like for new players coming into the game, how do you know if you're being a good teammate? Well, right now, our definition of being a good teammate is either doing exactly what the meta is telling you to do or what your teammates are pressuring you into, or you're carrying on your one hero and not listening to your teammates.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of definition. It's just go in there and have fun. So
yeah, and this could be a thing. I mean, I wouldn't trust Blizzard to do it because they don't really do anything like this. But creating a community code of conduct, something along those lines, could be, I mean, even if it's just explaining things that you shouldn't rage if the enemy picks a Torp, because Torp can be good, not on attack, but it can be good
for that attack
in
Torp
defense.
life.
No, not really. Not really. I still don't trust Torb in my team if he goes attack. Never seen it work, to be honest. But so you shouldn't rage just because of a pick. You should let the other player show their skills, and then you can suggest that, okay, it's not the best idea to do that, but I'm not sure about this. People don't like to read, and these are again stuff that you need to read.
Yeah, I know. It's something to read, or even like a short video. I don't know. That's the thing. And people just don't want to. I don't know. I feel like if we were able to do that, it would help with a chunk of like the mental health of the community and the mental understanding of new players that are coming into Overwatch, or even the current people there. And so, I mean, I like that point of view, but you're right. It would be a lot of reading. It'd be a lot of education, which not gamers don't like doing. We don't like getting more education than what we already have. I don't know. So
there is a lot of messages going on in the chat about fixing bad behavior, and basically mentioning what League of Legends had with their toxic hell or whatever, and Dota rather, and Grand Theft Auto 5 with toxic lobbies. If you are reading Reddit, there was a post like 3 years ago with a guy who got a ban for whatever reason in OV, and then he messaged the support, and they explained why he had the ban, and this in itself actually helped him to understand what was going wrong, and he took the effort to create a post and to apologize for the community, and also to explain that the personal touch in the system helped him to realize that he was behaving badly, and he was doing that against 11 other players, because you are not only screwing up your team, but you are also screwing up the game for the other team. Even if it is a win, it's not a well-deserved win.
Yeah.
So I believe that it's really hard, and it's really hard in a game with this many people to create a system which helps you to be a good player. I believe in rewards. I don't think that punishment ever got good results on the long term. But if you're able to reward people, maybe not just with additional levels on their profiles. But
so do you think the endorsement system they have in place right now is beneficial then? Because that's similar to
not,
kind of...
It's not really. It was in the beginning, I think. But
see, that's the biggest thing is when it starts out, it's good, but then later down the line, it just falls off the deep end.
I mean, it's really hard. You are not really losing anything by not being... I mean, let's compare it to Lineage, for example. Lineage was MMORPG I played a lot, and it's basically World of Warcraft with a lot of grinding and more PvP events. When you behaved badly there, your name started to become purple first, and then if you started player killing, then it became red, and different deeper shades of red, so everyone who saw you would just kill you on sight, or just chase you away, or, I don't know, get the hell away from you, so you basically got nothing because you behaved badly. On the other hand, if you were a good player, giving money, giving help, they could endorse you, and it showed your name in more... so basically the name was white, I think, and it became light blue and deep blue, something of a darker shade, and then it started glowing and stuff like that. So everyone know that you are basically a god walking amongst mortals there, doing good deeds and stuff like that. And that was a really good feeling to have that, because it not only helped you in... it helped... I mean, it showed your status in both ways. Something like that. And you could lose your endorsement level there more easily. So there was maintenance costs involved with that.
No, that makes sense. That's interesting. So
yeah, it's a really hard topic. Again, I mean, I don't envy the game designers.
Oh, I don't either. Because anything they try and do that they think the community... like, even when the community asks for something and they put the character... like, a lot of people are complaining about Doomfist. Okay, Doomfist wasn't going to be a thing until the community said we wanted Doomfist. So, in turn, the community decided to screw themselves over with Doomfist. So I'm like, you people have this power, and then you do this. And then, you know, you get mad because Doomfist is a thing now. It's like, well, you wanted Doomfist. They were just going to have it as a prop. And you people got him crazy about lore. And so,
yeah. Well, if you start thinking about why the community is like that it is, for example, why are people drawing for a lot of... in a lot of situations they are just mad for something, but there are a lot of situations when you want to try something different. So for example, when the Mercy patch went live back in the day, when Mercy was nerfed to hell, basically, there were a lot of Mercy players in Grandmasters who started throwing, basically, because they didn't have the skill to play at their level, to play different heroes at their level, because they were Mercy one tricks.
Yeah.
And this, I believe, is a good example of bad game design, because you are forced to play the same hero again and again as you progress on the ladder, compared to StarCraft 2, for example, which is another Blizzard game, which allows you to play a certain race and have a certain rank with that race. So, for example, I play Protoss, and I'm a master player. And then, if I want to play Zerg, I don't really know much about it. I know how to counter the units, but I don't really know how to make them and when to make them and stuff like that. And then it allows me to have a different ranking for that race. And it makes me happy, because I can just try different things, and that's good. And that's something we don't have in Overwatch. So when you get stuck with a hero, you either play that or you create a new account, and then there you go. You have a Smurf with another single hero.
That's true. That's interesting. So I wonder, that's a very interesting concept. I'm trying to wrap my mind around
how it would work, and that's a hard one.
Yeah, how would you get that? Like,
I would.
That's almost.
I mean,
that would almost help with the Smurf problem that we have, though.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah.
It would help decrease that a little bit,
So
I think.
Here's a suggestion how I would do it. I would make you choose after a while. Like if you reach, I don't know, plat maybe or diamond, you need to designate your favorite role, whether it is main, hit scan, hit scan DPS, projectile DPS, so more sophisticated than the current one, and then you get ranked with that. And if you switch to something else, that goes to a different thing. Even if it is, I would just measure how much you play with a certain hero in the game, and then I would give you rank based on the participation that you had in the game. So, for example, if you have 75% in the game with Zenyatta and only 25 with a DPS, then you get points for secondary support. And this way, well, it's not perfect, because if you get into a game as a main hit scan based on your points with a main hit scan, and then you have to flex into support, that's different. So it would only work if you start the game with that in mind and if you stay in that role. So it basically leads back to the role queue. These are hard again.
Yeah, no, like everything's just different, and so, but are these problems a symptom of the competitive mode or players being selfish / shocky? That's a good question. But no, I think that would be an interesting concept in because I just like the idea in general. Just being able to have a rank with like maybe just a certain hero or picking those, and then if I wanted to switch over to a different hero, have a different ranking on that hero.
Yeah,
I think that'd be nice.
I could imagine role queue working like that. Maybe.
That would be an interesting concept of having that work out.
Okay, so are these problems a symptom of the competitive mode or players being selfish? I think these are not problems, so to say. These are challenges and changes in the game, because it is always transforming, and we just have to adjust, and it's usually hard to do that. We just want to have the same game again and again.
Yeah, because we like repetition, we like patterns, we like to know what's going to be the same thing. But as soon as we throw a wrench into the whole dealio and it changes stuff, we were stuck again with this whole dive thought process for a year and a half. And then once it changes, that's where everybody goes ham crazy and just starts just getting mad about it. But those of us who've been mad about the dive meta are now, some of us are happy about the go. Some of us are still mad at the fact that our hero's not working out, like Sim or Torb. And so we're just mad about everything in life in general. And so, but I mean, I feel like it's a balance of both. Sonny's over here saying it's a game design problem. The game lends itself against a role queue and similar concepts.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can see that. Like, there's some game design elements that are a problem, but there's also a community problem as well, where the players themselves just need to understand that their time to shine fluctuates, and so whoever you play won't be, might not be great now, but might be better later on.
Yeah. There are comments here about Blizzard needs to make their own pickup games version of comp. That's basically looking for a group, and even if it works, I know about Jane's efforts, and I really like what he's doing with the pugs and promoting the teams. Basically the same, we are doing the same as him, with a lot smaller community. But pugs are fun because people want to play there against each other, and scrims are fun, and playing in a team is fun because people want to play and want to improve there, whereas you can't really rely on that in the solo queue environment. I would love to see Blizzard doing stuff like guilds, and not just name tags, but actually helping people to create good schedules to see when the others are online, and to help them in facilitating games maybe that are not about points, because that's another big issue with comp, that it's about points, and you don't you forget to have fun if you are playing for points in a lot of times.
I'm looking at all these comments here, and so Do you think Blizzard needs to do a hard reset of SR? Because there are too many players that are way too high for their skill from boosting and players that are better than where they are at. I mean, I feel like the SR system or the way that they do it right now makes sense because every time I do placements, I drop SR, and that's because I don't practice as much.
I don't think a hard reset would be fair.
It wouldn't. I feel like that would hinder more than it would help, and it would that would really throw the community into like a tailspin. A good majority of the community would go ham crazy about that
right.
because just imagine you reset a bronze player's SR and they end up back in bronze because they think they're better. Oh my goodness, the outcry you would get. Or you have a guy who's in Masters and he does it all over again and he ends up in Plat. Oh my goodness. Oh my, people would be so mad.
Yeah,
nobody would be happy with an SR reset. I feel like I wouldn't mind it, but I know I'm ending up in silver if I do that. So I'm just going to stick with where I'm at right now. So, but I get your point. I think it's a lot of the deal with the Smurfs and the alt accounts. That's the issue with the 1% because you got a lot of people doing that because you still have the dealio where people are scared to go from different heroes. Like if you got to your high level because you were a support main, what do people think if you swap to play main tank? People won't like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is again more of a I think your idea of doing the whole ranking system would work a lot better.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's just wrap it up. We've been streaming for more than 1.5 hours. If you have any other questions, guys, just make sure to shoot them at us right now, and let's just do a self plugs here. Okay. Patreon, you can support the channel on Patreon and you are going to get coaching in return, which is nice because it is going to be December next month and you are going to have a lot more time to play, and it's actually good to start right now because Ash is out and there are a lot of nerfs, so the game is going to transform. So if you are looking for coaching and if you're looking to support the channel, and this is an option, you can go to Patreon, the link is in the description. You can also apply to Team Incubator, which is created to help people who are getting tired of solo queue and want to join in a team which we help to form, and then you can start playing games together. What else?
That's a good question. I mean, we have videos and such. So if you have
the Discord.
Questions,
if you are only on YouTube, then don't forget to join the Discord because that's where the stuff happens. You have to.
That's where all the cool stuff is.
You have to do this stuff in the welcome channel to give you ranks, but after that you are going to be able to see the rooms. So questions.
Okay, this thing's getting heavy here. I think Dandy had an interesting question here. If Blizzard can make such good working competitive system for StarCraft 2, why does Overwatch seem to so lackluster and underwhelming?
There's a huge difference between creating a balanced game for 2 players compared to 12.
I mean, that, and also isn't StarCraft a separate like team all of its own? Like I think each game has its own development team.
Yeah. It is. But still, they could learn from each other. But it's non-comparable. The complexity is way higher in a 6v6 game compared to a 1v1.
Yeah, as soon as we get a Zerg into Overwatch, then maybe they'll reconsider their life choices.
No, please, no.
Oh, come on, man! You don't think that'd be cool having a Zerg in there?
No. I mean, I don't really care about lore, but I wouldn't love to see different heroes here. I mean, Overwatch should stay Overwatch.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Jacob, SC2 is a single player mostly too. No, it's not. It's one of the biggest competitive games, and it's actually one of my favorites to watch still. I have been playing it for...
So do you work with a team then, though? Or are you still running solo? For StarCraft 2, like, do you work with another person to build up? Okay, so I think that's what he means by that, is that you're depending on yourself to build up everything, compared to where Overwatch, you have 5 other people to worry about.
Yeah, okay, yes, okay. Can I join you as an amateur console coach? Yes, you can join the Discord community as a console coach. There is a high need for console coaching. I
find that really interesting.
We have, I mean, you can just come and assign yourself as a coach. Basically, community coaching is free. Everyone gets it on Discord. Just post a word, post your questions, and we are there to answer it. That's what the dojo was built around.
Was community coaching, working off of each other.
That's right. If you don't have money for another account, or what you want to drastically different role than usual, what do you recommend? Drastically different role. I would recommend going for pugs and going in a team, because then you can do whatever you want. In a pug, you can just pick a pug which is suitable for your rank with the different hero, and then you can work yourself up. That's the best thing that we have right now for it.
Yeah, that's essentially all you would have to do is we do pugs or scrims or whatnot and practice with that hero. And then when you get into competitive, you would have to convince your team not to, or you'd have to private your profile and then just play the hero that you would like to play.
I wouldn't recommend that. Go for pugs. Pugs are safe.
I know pugs are safe, but if he's wanting to get into competitive and play with his hero, see, this is where all the problems are coming from. Is that competitive is an issue? Okay. Alien says go do the pugs. I agree, do the pugs. But if you're wanting to do anything competitive that's outside of your main, you will more than likely have to hide yourself somehow, or just convince your teammates otherwise that this is a good idea. And so,
yeah. Okay, boxing TV. You guys should upload these podcast type audios to Spotify. Yeah, we should. We might. We didn't record this one, only the streaming. So,
well, I mean, if we
that's
download
for next time.
Yeah, maybe next time. Maybe if this goes off without a hitch, maybe we'll do more podcasts. You know.
Okay. Do you think the revival of the concept of filling and distinction from flexing would help the community? Revival concept of filling.
For reference, filling was the idea of playing the roles other than your main averagely while specializing in a single role.
That's flexing.
Oh, okay.
Filling is when you, just fill the last slot, basically. Can you explain the question, Sonny?
Yeah, I'm kind of confused on that question too. So instead of, because I feel like filling and flexing is the same thing at this point. Like if you're the last one to pick, you're flexing.
We are reading the questions from the chat. And thank you for the love, Sense Penner. Penner.
So, but
okay. So currently, I think flex. If I say that I am flex, that means that I won't mind playing anything. I can just play whatever. That is usually when you get into a game, and this is the first thing that you say. That all right, guys, just pick what you want. I feel comfy with anything. I'm a flex player. This is what I usually do. Sometimes I just need to, I'm too slow to pick, or I'm undecisive, and then I have to fill a slot, which is filling.
That makes sense.
So, what was the original question? Revival of the concept of filling and the distinction from flexing. So what's the difference here? Can you guys explain?
Eagle says like flexing is being able to play multiple heroes. Filling can sometimes be a hero you can't play. So like if your team needs you to fill a certain role.
Yeah, okay.
I guess I could see that, where you're in a dealio and people goes like, well, I can't play Moira to save my life, so can somebody else play that? So it's like, okay, well, I guess I could play Moira, and so you would swap off of your maybe DPS role, give that to the other person, and you play main heals or something like that. I guess I could see it. Back when I originally joined the game, flexing was the idea of playing every hero role without a single specialization. Filling was the idea of specializing without turning into a OTP of a single role.
Okay. Filling is flexing to the last role. Oh, well, one trick pony, yes.
So should we be flexible heroes or should we one trickers? Oh my lord.
I generally recommend anybody who is below diamond that you should try to focus on 1 or maximum 3 heroes, because that's how you can improve the most. And then you can start thinking about flexing and trying different roles, because even if you, I mean, until you get to diamond, you're making big mechanical and game sense mistakes, and you want to get rid of those to be able to concentrate on developing yourself with a single hero. That's just from my experience.
That sounds about right. Because I feel like in the lower levels, you need to be able to flex, because your teammates will think that they're the next Jonak or the next freaking Fleta or, you know, Pine, and they think they can be a God Widow. And so you have to flex and support their butts.
Yep.
But that's just me.
Okay.
So, but I think, yeah.
Okay. Anything else, guys, from the chat?
Guys, do you think Blizzard should make a video explaining what each one does? I'm assuming the one means hero, and lucky for you, we have videos on a majority of the heroes that have come out. So, self-plug.
But I believe that Blizzard should get something like this. As we were explaining before, that an onboarding process would help a lot, I believe. Even if you are an experienced player, explaining exactly what is going on and to the detail of telling you about animation cancels, I believe that it can be something that could help a lot.
And I can see that.
And usually if it comes from the original source, I mean, if it is in the game, then you are going to watch it. And if you are going to watch it, you are going to know about it, and you are going to be able to use it then. Whereas when you have to find that for yourself on YouTube, where there are different creators, I mean, there are creators here on YouTube, which is why we started the dojo, not to have trashy content. Because these creators can be misleading and you don't even know about it. And then you just sit there with your trashy skills that you learned from a bad YouTube channel. Me, I don't want to talk about it. It always makes me mad. People shouldn't,
makes you mad.
Shouldn't start educating if they don't know their stuff. Okay, let's just say
he's turning green, guys. We need to stop. We need to stop on that topic. I see with console players is that they don't know what the aim assist and sensitivity actually do. Should Blizzard make a video explaining each one?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're talking about console stuff. Yeah, Blizzard needs to help out their console brethren. Like, for reals. Like, I feel you, console people. I didn't play a lot of, like, real console games, but I get going, like, playing on a console. Blizzard should help that out a little bit, especially with the aim assist stuff and sensitivities for the controllers. It'd be nice.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Okie dokie. I think
that's about it.
That's about it. Okay. Thank you guys for watching us and for staying with us. And again, join our Discord if you have any other questions. And we were happy to have you. It's really fun to talk about this.
It was good times.
Yep. See you guys in the next one.
Adios.
Bye-bye.